Hey, what's going on? JD here. Just doing another live edit for photos. So appreciate you guys that are going to drop into the stream or watch it on replay, all that kind of stuff. Tonight we have Jocelyn, Alice, and Walk Off the Earth. Jocelyn opening up. So we will start with her photos and then work into Walk Off the Earth. And we'll just get started. So first shot, essentially, she's just out there. Again, you know, super bright as far as what I am used to for shooting. We are just going to basically punch it up a little bit. I mean, we're not going to do a ton. Maybe take down the highlights just a tad. And that is essentially it. As long as we are sharp, we are good. That's what I'm always looking for, things to be tack sharp. So, you know, it's cool. You can see the details in there, the tattoos that she's got, all the kind of stuff. So that is a keeper. Now we've got the bassist here, also sharp. So sharp you can basically read the Fender on her guitar. Again, I'm just using my presets, punching things up. Like I said, what I like to do is I like to basically cut back on the highlights. A lot of times you'll have things overdone on the highlights when you're shooting concerts because of the lighting. Take them down a bit as well as punch at the blacks just to get that little bit of contrast. I like to do that versus the contrast, just kind of what I do stylistically. So yeah, there we go, nice and colorful. All sorts of stuff done. And again, you know, all this kind of stuff happens super fast in terms of editing. If you do have any questions, do throw them in the comments, or if you're watching the replay, by all means throw whatever questions you have in the comments and I will get back to you. So again, we are sharp, so that is good. You can see we're outside, it's quite bright here, so this is all going to be blown out, but there is no way to shoot that otherwise. So we pump up the blacks, bring the highlights down a bit, and you can see in the background and the tent especially what that does to there. But that is good. We're in a good place. Nice little bass face going on. So there we go. All right. So I'm not sure which one. I'm probably going to go with this one actually, just because of the hand position. As long as we're good and sharp. I don't know. Make a good GIF anyways, just jumping back and forth. We're going to go with this one here. I'm going to crop this a bit just because I had a little bit more space going than I like on the left-hand side. So that'll be good. Again, we're just going to bump the contrast up. Highlights are definitely going to come down here. And simply bump up the blacks. So there we go. Good and good. So I'm going to reject that one for now. Kind of playful. This one, again, I'm going to crop just because I shot it probably a little... So we're going to punch that up. Go with the blacks, take down the highlights a bit to make sure. Skin tones are pretty good. If you see, notice the auto skin tones are completely off. I'm quite happy with the warmth of that. It's good. I like how she's kind of looking back. These two had a great dynamic on stage. For those of you that were at the show and watching, super fun to watch. Very entertaining. Also kind of cool was that Jocelyn, when she was doing her performance, talked about performing several years ago on the Stampede stage where she did about 20 shows for free over the period of the 10 days of the Stampede. And Clark, for those of you who ever worked on the Coke stage or performed on the Coke stage, you know who Clark is, who is now retired. He retired last year. Awesome guy, and she was, you know, giving Clark a shout out, which I think is super awesome that, you know, that she did that. So there you go. Again, nice tack sharp. And you can tell the light is very, very bright here. You can see, you know, that hot spot kind of right there on her face off the reflection of her hair. But we are good. If I was doing something potentially for them and this wasn't kind of photojournalisty stuff, I might actually take that out. And all I would simply do for that is not take the filter, is take the brush tool here, and definitely not do that. Get the size down a little more, and just kind of pull from in the area. Or even better, go to Photoshop and get it done. You know. So we're just going to undo that. Like I said, you can just kind of take those out, but I'm going to leave that in. Hey Igor, how's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us on the stream. I'm just editing the photos from the night. So this is Jocelyn, Alice. This shot I like a lot. Oops. We will definitely go back to full screen here. So we're just going to darken things up. Got it down. Great smile. Absolutely great smile. I do want to... I don't like cropping, but I just kind of don't like how much negative space is over here. So we're just going to crop just a bit. And that is a keeper. That's I think that's a great shot. Again, we've got both of them. Like I said, they had a great dynamic going on. Essentially, I just punch up the blacks, actually not even take down the highlights there. It's kind of it. And you can see how fast, essentially, I edit. Have a great night, Igor. Thanks for dropping in and popping in for a second. So, cheers, mate. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. We're live streaming every day, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, if you are around at that time. But I am still streaming. So what I'm looking for here, obviously, is that it is tack sharp in the eyes, which it is. The back still pretty good. We were shooting at, I think, about, there we go, 6.3, yeah. So, I mean, we've got a decent depth of field. Sometimes when you're shooting a concert and you're trying to get these wider shots, especially in poor lighting and you're shooting at 2.8, you definitely want your foreground focus to be the part. You know, you'll have the person in the background, but they may not be the sharp focal point that the front person in the foreground is. So, just if you are shooting in darker situations, again, this is an outdoor show. Again, background, all that kind of stuff, unless you're getting side angle shots, you're not actually seeing that, but there's a huge amount of light comparison to normal. So that is good. And of course, again, here we got Jocelyn. Great smile. Again, we're going to take those highlights down a bit, bump up the blacks, not too much. And we're going to see... Essentially what happens is you just get too much, you know, compensation from the computer. So there you go. That's all of Jocelyn Alice. And then now we'll be on Walk Off the Earth. So first problem, which I don't like because I was shooting at an angle because essentially there was a mic stand that was going to be completely in the way from the front stage. So we're just going to essentially crop this, compensate a little bit for not being there. Give the illusion that essentially we are shooting dead ahead by making our horizon line straight, which we absolutely were not. And you can see that there is that tiny bit of distortion there. So we're going to go there, make sure everybody's level. Again, we're just going to give it a little bit of contrast. We're going to pump up those blacks, and that's why essentially I punch it a little bit. And then take down the highlights, just so we're not, you know, totally going away. And again, the skin tones I think are somewhere where we want to be, so that's kind of good. So again, you know, sort of keep her there, and on to the next image. So again, all this kind of stuff happens super fast. You want to be as close as possible to where you are shooting anyways. And if you notice, I'm not playing with the exposure. I'm not messing with much in those regards. Essentially, we're good. We're tack sharp. It's essentially, you know, going with the punch, making sure the colors are good. Making sure there's a black contrast, and, you know, making sure that the focus is good. You know, that's kind of the big thing. If it's too much of a jump, you can drop down the exposure, all those kind of things. As well in these, because of, you know, I am shooting at 800 or 1600 in this case, because as it gets later, it gets a little darker. You know, not much in the way of grain. You could do some noise reduction, but really it doesn't kind of need it unless you are really blowing it up. And I mean, one of the things that I've always said in all of my streams is essentially, if you start doing things like removing the noise, one of the things that people do the most time when they first start out with concert photography and shooting concerts is, because they are compensating so much for the poor light, and they want, you know, their images to be brighter, and they're scared to shoot at a higher ISO, that they will jam up that clarity button, or they will jam up the smoothing to get rid of all the sort of specs, especially at the higher ISO, to get smoother looking images, and everybody looks kind of very unnatural, which I don't like at all. So again, we're gonna, you know, bump up the blacks and the contrast, and, you know, that's how it is. So I like the arm out straight. We're gonna get rid of this one. This one is fine as well, but the issue going to be is that you see these spotlights have been punching right in. So when I jump down the contrast and stuff like that, you may have a bit of haze in the image. What I will use is I will actually use the dehaze button a bit to get rid of some of that kind of weird light as well. And again, you can do some noise reduction if you like. You can bump it up a bit, just smooths things out a little bit, takes away a little bit of the grain. Again, you know, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, like, I like the arm extended, but I kind of like the lights better in that. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm going to go with one. If you agree with me, leave me a comment. If you disagree with me, let me know which one you would have selected. Because again, you know, at the end of the day, it's very much, you know, photography. That's fine, but no. You know, it is subjective. You know, it's not, this is the perfect way, this is the way to do it. In fact, you can take everything I say and say I'm completely wrong and do something completely different. And I mean, you want that kind of sharpness here. You can see, this is so sharp, you can see that she had at some point a piercing underneath her lip, and that is essentially, you know, out of there. But you can still see the hole. So there you go. We'll keep that. I like this. Nice up and close and personal. We'll bump up the blacks a bit. Highlight. And we will pick that. This is not the best shot in the world. I don't like it for a couple reasons, but I do like that they brought that out. And there is no better angle that you were going to get on this day. I mean, if it was a regular concert, this would all be black. That would be super. If you were really anal retentive, you could probably go Photoshop it out and, you know, change it completely. But I'm not going to do that because I don't feel that's right. There are some problems with the coloring as well. As you can see, he is quite a different color than up front. The skin tones are completely different, and that does happen in shows. But again, you know, for journalistic purposes, all good. here she is up front again. So we will do pretty much what we had been doing, and essentially going that route. I mean, it's funny because I feel that Lightroom's a very powerful tool. Lightroom is a fantastic tool. For a lot of things, I like it way better than Photoshop. Number one, you can edit stuff way faster. That's fine. I just don't kind of like that I should have been taking this horizontal, but it was just a matter of that she went down fast and I couldn't do it. I could crop it, but unfortunately she's super tight in that frame. For that reason, we're going to get rid of you. Dancing. That's kind of cool. We'll go medium punch it up, jump the blacks, drop down the color. I kind of want to center a little bit, so we're just going to kind of do this. Actually, I do kind of want her a bit off center, so just to kind of see that she's jumping to the side. So there you go. That's fine. That's two of the same. Low, high. Hair's got more action there, but I kind of like how the hair looks there. And I think I'm honestly going to ditch both of those because I'm going to have 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I'm going to have way more than I need. And when I say ditch these are still archived. And in the thing, I can pull them up at any time. It's just what I want to sort of put out there to the world. So this is kind of a cool moment. I'm going to reduce that noise a bit. What I catch next is kind of super cool. I always like to get a good jumping shot. And this is no different. Essentially, kind of a wild jump and caught him, all that kind of stuff. It is a bit blurry here, but that doesn't matter. I was shooting 1/320th of a second. So, fast enough to sort of freeze the action, but slow enough that there is still some motion blur, and that's okay. Everything is pretty much sharp. And again, you see when we do the color there, but I do want to add a tiny bit of blue, customize that a bit, just get it a little bit and I want to kind of punch up the shadows a bit because his face a little dark for my liking. So that is good. One shot of the drummer, and we will probably warm him up, even though the computer definitely wants to cool him down. Or we can leave him right there. We'll go medium punch. Just a little tiny touch of warmth. And we're going to punch up the blacks. Drop the highlights a little bit. And then we're going to crop this a bit, just because he's at the back. There you go. All full, nice kit, got the band name, all that kind of stuff. So that is awesome. Nothing wrong with that, but it's gonna go. Again, nothing wrong really with that. Nothing super wrong with that either. Just going to kind of pivot just a tiny bit and just a fraction of a crop. We are all good and in focus. There you go. One last one. To drop it down, and that's kind of it. So that's Jocelyn Alice, Walk of the Earth. Again, Super Stampede. Appreciate all the likes and follows on Instagram and stuff like that. I am close to breaking, I think, 2,500 followers on Instagram, so that is super awesome. We are currently, I don't know if you can see that, $24.99. So check us out there. It's at Pain Inc. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. I know these are sometimes a little bit short. Please do leave a comment if you do watch the replay and all that kind of good stuff. We will see you again shortly. I believe tomorrow I am photographing lights. We still have Billy Talent to go. So still a few more people to see during the Stampede. And until next time, see ya.